have the session Approach of Art Integrated Education in Achieving SDG 16 by Shreyoshi Saha. Ms. Shreyoshi is the founder and CEO of ImmerseGo, an experiential art integrated learning startup offering proprietary art integrated learning modules for age 5 to 15 years to develop life skills, values, and thematic understanding on gender and inclusion, sustainability, climate change, and more through a play based learning method. Shreyosh's desire to contribute to the UN SDGs through art-based interventions led her to start ImmerseGo, whose goal is to make AIE accessible to over 3 lakh children and create sustainable livelihood for at least 30,000 artisans by 2030, and is working in the realm of addressing the SDGs 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, 13, and 16. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ms. Shreyoshi. Over to you for your session, Approach of Art Integrated Education in Achieving SDG 16.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining in from around the world. I'm so honored to be here at the Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021 to share my perspectives on how art integrated education can contribute towards building peace and inclusion in the world and thereby towards SDG 16. I'll kickstart our discussion with few images before you. What do these highlight? The first image is that of the Afghan crisis, the second, highlighting the crisis owing to the pandemic, the third, the LGBTQ issues being raised around the world, the fourth, the domestic violence issues faced by women, the fifth one, climate change related issues faced in Australia, the bushfires of 2020, and the last being the indigenous rights fight being fought by the indigenous communities around the world. What do they highlight on an overall scale? They highlight lack of belongingness, sensitivity, lack of peace within and without, lack of feeling of oneness with others. So, what are the 4 dimensions of that particular the challenge? Why is it happening? Where is it happening? When is it happening? And how is it happening? The why can be attributed towards poorly structured education systems in our schools and educational institutions, the disconnect with values, the disjointed worldview of children and adults, geopolitics. Where is it happening? It's happening in our own homes, neighborhoods, our educational institutions, at workplaces, and beyond. When is it happening? Well, it starts early in childhood. The age of 3 to 5 years is considered to be the time when the seed for one's future behavior, attitudes, and tastes gets sown and shaped. And how is it happening? Well, there is a lack of channel for self-expression. We focus too much on scholastic grades in our schools and education institutions. There is an inadequate connect with nature and community, lack of healthy outlet for any aggression. So while the scope of contributing towards peace and inclusion is really large, we will restrict our conversation to only evaluating how art education can positively impact childhood, thereby having a long-lasting impact on society at large. The Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore had said, bread and art are inseparable aspects of life for a healthy development of personality and human relationships. According to Devi Prasad, a pioneer in art education in India, who was also in Tagore's team to build holistic development for children in 1901, and Gandhi's team of experiments in basic education in 1937, in his book on the art as the basis of education, he mentioned that art inculcates awareness and sensitivity on all aspects of environment in children. It offers an avenue for self-expression and communication. But why do we need this aspect of self-expression? Self-expression is the basic human necessity. If children are not given an avenue to share their feelings, it can result in creation of inhibitions and development of unhealthy personality. Art allows children to express in the absence of words, to experience joy, to showcase, to experience satisfaction, accomplishment, fulfillment, And it also builds self confidence as a result of all this. It channels the surplus energy and gives a positive vent to aggressive tendencies. It builds capacities in children to discern between what is right and what is wrong, not only for themselves but for society at large. It builds a very well balanced personality, freeing oneself from egocentricity. It builds sympathy, friendship between living beings and nature. And it builds social, emotional, ethical learning skills like compassion, resilience, conflict resolution skills, and so on. So, although Hindu philosophy says that there are 64 art forms, the Buddhist tradition says there are 84 art forms. Just for simplicity's sake, we have taken like three clusters of art forms: performing arts, visual arts, martial arts. You can choose between music, dance, theater, storytelling, painting, martial arts to build skills in children and build life skills, values, and worldview perspectives through these art forms. But before I go into the details of how art can actually be used, I will give an analogy. See, the discussion largely on problem solving is always around creativity, how creative solutions need to be built to solve various problems that are afflicting us. But creativity without sensitivity makes no sense. So creativity has to go hand in hand with sensitivity, with development of consciousness, especially in children. If I were to give you an analogy, creativity is the boat and sensitivity is the sail that gives direction. It's like a body, which is creativity, and soul is the sensitivity. You need both of them to move towards solving problems. Moving on, I'll give you, how basically art can be used as a power tool. I realized early on that arts is, in effect, the 21st century power tool to offer holistic development to children. So, while historically we've seen that indigenous communities have always been using various art forms to be in harmony with nature, be in harmony with the communities at large, and to share their stories, folklore, etc., across generations, we need to go back to that same wisdom and adopt that and also share it with children as to how traditional art forms, visual art forms, which spoke about like the Gone painting, the fourth example that you see here, it already talks about the harmony with nature that and living beings. Children can build also fine motor skills and compassion while learning the art form. The other tool that you can use is theater and puppetry, where children can learn about social justice while creating stories through puppets. They build their creativity skills, motor skills, patience, as well as they are channeling their energy in a positive uh, activity. The third example I would like to give is dance form, where children can learn storytelling to learn about issues on inclusion, climate change. It builds focus, discipline, it builds confidence and creativity and storytelling skills. The scope of martial arts is also similar. Martial arts is not to fight. It teaches actually humility in children. It builds agility along with reflexivity and um, conflict resolution skills in children. So every art form has a USP of their own to empower children. They are not only to, they act as tools to offer joy, harmony, but also build specific learning outcomes like life skills, values, and build a better worldview. So, what exactly is art integrated learning? Coming back, it is a pathway to multidisciplinary learning through arts, thereby making learning an experiential, joyful, and a holistic experience. It not only builds values, life skills, it's therapeutic, it helps in mental health aspects, it builds social emotional skills to work towards problem solving in a positive method with consciousness. And it also in the larger realm, it builds capacities to increase scholastic scores for children. It helps them to compete in international arena as well. This is exactly what we are building at Immersco. We offer proprietary learning modules on various art forms to build life skills, values, and thematic understanding. This was exactly what at the heart of what Nobel laureate Tagore, a polymath, built his school and institute of higher education, Shantiniketan in West Bengal, for children to learn in the midst of nature and arts in 1901, with a motto, where the whole world can find a nest. He integrated arts and music to academics, the impact evident from his illustrious alumni like the first woman MP of India, PM of India, Indira Gandhi, Nobel laureate for economics, Amartya Sen, and Oscar winner Satyajit Ray, to name a few. So, what are the steps that we should take in our own countries? Number one, we should give access to art integrated learning programs, materials, and excursion visits to children from 3 to 18 years, as those are the formative years for change. They will help not only to build long lasting impact on children's psyche, but also on the larger ecosystem. We need to set up art sensitivity labs in every school, in districts, to offer space for self expression. Children need a space to express themselves through various medium. The third is we need to give access to art integrated learning not only to children but also for lifelong learning for adults as a space for well being, to be part of the peace building efforts. And above all, we need to offer training to educators for art to act as a tool for change for peace building initiatives. I would like to conclude my discussion with a very important quote to achieve SDG 16 by Herbert Reed, who had written in his book Education for Peace. He said, "We have to live art if we could be affected by art. We have to paint rather than look at paintings. We have to play instruments rather than go to concerts. We have to dance and sing and act ourselves. We have to engage all our senses in the ritual and discipline of the arts. Then something may begin to happen to us to work upon our bodies and our souls." I believe that investment on art education than on building artillery and army alone can bring about a dramatic and cost effective shift in peace building efforts globally, and children, if given a chance, can steer this change. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shreyoshi, for that amazing and informative session. I think what you're doing is really amazing. Thank you for joining us and inspiring us.
Thank you.